Good morning and welcome to Shamanic Sundays with my dad, Dr. Tom Pinkson. I'm Kimberly Pinkson, and I'm so grateful to be here with you today with each of you and with my dad. My sister and I and our sons have been blessed to grow up with him, and many of you have been working with him or know him, are friends with him, have done ceremony with him. And there's many people out in the world who haven't gotten a chance to be with him in person or even on an event like this. So we started Shamanic Sundays to show up for each other and be able to kick off the coming week in a good way and integrate some shamanic practices into our lives. So Poppy, Dad, would you like to start with a little morning prayer for us?
I certainly would like to do that. And thank you, Kimmy, and thank you, Nicole, and the whole family that's behind this Pinkson Productions here. So I want to just light this candle. It's pretty dark here down in Santa Barbara, rainy, cold, windy. So light this candle with gratitude to you, Great Spirit. Through the Star Nation, people sends light and love to Mother Earth. Prayers for Mother Earth and her healing. And thank you for bringing us together in the shining light, reminding us of our true nature, illumination. Sometimes with so much darkness, it's easy to get stuck in the darkness. It's very seductive. But every morning you come up in the east and you give us that power of illumination that cuts through the darkness and helps us remember. For you're a mirror showing us our true illumination, that we're sacred, worthy, luminous beings, that we are loved. We are love. Love is forgiving and receiving. So thank you for bringing us together here today, all listening, all who will be listening and watching, to help us polish up the stardust, to shine brighter light and love and kindness and healing into the world. May it be so. Oh, Amprios.
Thank you. One of the things that you have taught and walk your talk around is bringing the sacred into every day and remembering what that means. Could you talk for a minute on what sacredness means and why you tell folks that we are sacred, worthy, luminous beings? We are love, and our love is forgiving.
Why I say that we are sacred, worthy, luminous beings, and we are love, and our love is forgiving, and to wake up and wise up and live love now, this day, this time that we have, is because it's true. We are sacred, worthy, luminous beings. That's what over half a century of vision questing. Right now, maybe you can, I don't know if you can see any of my gear, heading out on Vision Quest tomorrow with Kimmy and 4 other people. So almost 50 years of vision questing and over 50 years of working with sacred plant medicines in a ceremonial way. And life, the ups and downs of life have shown me very clearly that the truth of our being is that statement. And that's why I say it, because when we put our energy into thought forms that are true, we get juicier, we get strengthened. Our whole being is filled up with light because we're putting our energy into something that's true. We're harmonizing with the deepest reality of the universe. We put our energy into thought forms that aren't true, anything different from I'm a sacred, worthy, luminous being of love, and my love is forgiving and receiving. Then the pipes get clogged up, they get constipated, there's constriction because we're putting our energy into something that's not true. And the wisdom of the organism knows what's true. It knows what's true. And so when it experiences truth energy flowing through, it lights up. Just the opposite when we put energy, attention into thought forms that are not based on the truth of our being. So that's why I say it, to help me remember, because I can fall asleep and forget every day, get seduced by darkness in one way or another. So I start my day as soon as I'm aware that I'm awake, remembering that not everybody who went to sleep the previous night got up this morning. So the fact that I'm awake and aware that I'm awake, I'm alive. And so I start by giving gratitude and putting energy immediately into that thought form that's true. So I start with polishing up my stardust. That's why I say that.
Oh, and what does the word sacred mean to you? And how can we integrate that in our lives?
What the word sacred means to me is recognizing the presence of the Great Spirit, of the great mystery in everyone and in everything and everywhere and all the time. And that we're always in relationship with the interwoven web of oneness. We're all connected. We're all related because we're all connected. There's no such thing as a separate thing. So to me, sacred is just recognizing the truth of what is, that we're made by the creative wisdom power of the universe. Our bodies are made of stardust. We're fueled by stardust with the gift from Father Sun every morning, whether we can see it or not. It's equally shining. Like here, it's clouds and rainy and dark, but Father Sun's not shining any less. It's equally there. Just have to work a little harder to get through the clouds to connect with the light. So sacred to me is anything that helps us connect with the truth of what is, the oneness of our being, interconnected, interwoven in infinite web of creative potential. And as human beings, we're given opportunity in being alive to explore what's the highest potential of my living in this life, and then trying to find practices that empower us to do that, living in a sacred way, walking what the Huichol people call walking the heart path, walking on a heart path to completion, so that we can complete ourselves in this life. So when the end comes, however and whenever, we can look back and feel good about how we lived our lives. Yeah, I showed up and gave it my best shot. It wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about comparison to anybody else's. So did I live my authenticity, my integrity, walk my soul path, my heart? And if we have, then we'll be able to let go and release with peace back into the mystery from whence we came. So sacred to me is any acts, practices that help us open our awareness to attune and commune with the Great Spirit.
Thank you. One of the things that that has played such a role in my life and Nicole's life and our family's life is the concept of rites of passage, which you integrate in your life and your work, and that's of course where it came from for us. And it feels like right now there's just so many challenges in our daily lives that, well, certainly there's special occasions for rites of passage, entering into puberty, getting married, childbirth, death, teenage years. But it feels like every day right now is like a rite of passage. And doesn't it feel like that, Heather, Tom out there, Penelope, so many of our friends out there that are here today? Thank you so much for being here. And I don't know about you, but for me, it just feels like every day right now feels like a rite of passage. So could you talk a little bit about what the role of rite of passage is in indigenous cultures and shamanism, and how we can integrate some of that, the principles of rite of passage and the grounding, powerful force of those experiences into our daily lives in the coming week?
Boy, that was so loaded with requests. I'll see if I can keep track of like 1/10 of it.
Well, just the gist, rite of passage. Okay.
Yeah, I got it. But first, I just say, forgive me for not starting with saying to everybody listening, thank you for the blessings of your life and blessings on your life. And thank you, all of our ancestor spirits and the ancestor spirits of the land we live on. We remember you here, and blessings on your people. So I agree with you about every day is a rite of passage. Traditional rites of passage have three components, and the purpose of a rite of passage in indigenous cultures is that they recognize, by paying attention to how nature works and in human terms, there were times of transition in life, in the cycles of life, that where the growth requirement is to let go of something that's been, that maybe served before but doesn't serve now because of the growth process. And the universe's growth, its movement, its change, it's constant. Something new is trying to be born, something new is trying to come through. And those times of transition, because you're letting go of the old, can be upsetting the apple cart. If you're stepping into the unknown, you're not sure what's going to happen, and there's power there. And so if those times of transition are not handled skillfully, work with skillfully, then it leads to a lot of the problems we have today in Western culture. Uninitiated people who don't know the truth of their being, don't know that they're sacred and worthy and luminous, and that they're connected with the infinite power of the universe. So rites of passage is to help people starting usually at adolescence, when you're letting go of childhood and stepping into adulthood, taking responsibility for your life and for your gifts and growing them and giving them back to your people in service to higher will. Then they would go through the young person would go through preparation with an elder, and then would leave the tribe, leave the group, leave roles, and go out into what we would call the wilderness, into the natural world for a period of time of fasting and praying and opening to spirit, opening for vision, opening for insight, for understanding of their relationship to life, and that we don't have forever. The rite of passage involves facing your mortality and recognizing you don't have forever, and so your life is precious, it's fragile, and live it in a good way, respectfully, with harmony and balance with creation. So the first stage is severance of a rite of passage, where you're severed from your normal ways of living, and you go off into the quote unquote the wilderness. And then there's the threshing stage, the liminal stage, when you're out there. So you and I and the others going out on vision quests, we're stepping out of our comfort zones, and we're stepping in the unknown with weather and not eating and whatever our fears are come up over a period of time of being in solitude out in our case the high desert. And so you get worked, your buttons get pushed, and you have to face your fears and your shadow and your own fragility, and open up to a power greater than yourself, than ego, and recognize that we're more than our physical bodies, we're more than our ego identities, connected to the infinite creative wisdom power of the universe. And so the rite of passage was to help in that liminal stage, that middle stage, was to help the person, by facing challenges, connect with a presence, a strength greater than themselves that could help them meet those challenges in a way that not just they survived and made it through the time of transition, but thrived, grew stronger. So it's not about just surviving it, that time of transition, but working with the challenges of it to grow those qualities of being, of health and wellness, that are going to serve you in your life and guide you with a vision and connection with power greater than yourself to walk that hard path to completion. And then the third stage is incorporation. You come back. You don't stay out there. You come back to your people, to your community, and there's a responsibility to share what you were given, what you saw, what you learned about, because you're given not just for you, but to give back to your people. Why? Because we're all connected. So in a way, that going out on quest is representing your people, stepping out of the roles for 9 to 5, whatever, and going off just to be in communion with spirit for the guidance about how to live your life in a good way. So every day is a rite of passage for me, in the sense of, I don't know about you, but given my own personality, my own psychodynamics, my own wounds, my own neuroses, my whatever, I have a huge closet full of thought forms that can create pain and suffering for myself, and they just can get triggered really easily. And so then I'm seduced into darkness. I've fallen asleep into thinking all there is to me in reality is my ego stories, and right now they're creating pain and suffering. So it's easy for me to get seduced by that, by what happens in the world and my own internal dynamics. So the rite of passage for me is that I've got to face and take ownership of all of those aspects that I just mentioned, and use them, create a relationship, a response to them that helps me wake up. Oops, I got stuck in ego identity, thinking that's all there was in ego stories. Let me pull the plug on that way of thinking, that constricted worldview that chokes off my soul, and takes the steps that work for me to open up to spirit's presence. And remember, this moment of being alive right now, sacred right now, is the only time I can ever experience whatever I want to experience. So, dude, what do you want to experience? Being alive right now. All the shit that's going on in the world. You might have stuff going on in your body. My ankle hurts, my this, that, or whatever. And I still have the possibility as long as I'm alive and have my awareness to wake up, remember the truth of who I am, wise up, pull the plug on that unconsciously conditioned first attention dream, and then create a new dream, a conscious dream based on love and interconnectedness, the truth of our reality as human beings in this creation. So for me, every day it's working, being present to notice those thought forms that if I don't pull a plug on them can produce suffering for me. And I have to face that and get threshed by it and figure out how can I create a response to this, whatever's triggered inside of me that opens the doorway of awareness to reconnect and commune with what's true always, Spirit's infinite light and love and peace available to me here now in this sacred moment. So that's the rite of passage I do every day, maybe depending upon the day, sometimes in a good day, maybe 50 times, and in a more challenging day, a lot more. But every day is a rite of passage to reconnect with the light, with the love that we are.
Thank you. Yeah. One of the things that I'm learning as I'm getting older is remembering how powerful breath work is to reconnect with that. And just like really like taking those deep breaths, and I can like literally feel the breath going into my spine and stretching all the body parts that ache on any given moment or day, and just that gift of life and that breath and just really breathing in. So maybe we could all just take a second here and just take a couple deep breaths in together. Just the grounding power and the gift of that breath. And that's something we can teach our children. Some chatting in the chat about our inner child, and that inner child can use that breath. Our children, our grandchildren can use the tool of that breath, and I think that's so helpful for me to remember. And I'm actually starting to, I won't say all the time, but when I feel myself start to get gripped, like, okay, just remember to take that breath, and it is so helpful with that too. Yeah. When you were talking about the rite of passage, one of the words you used really kind of resonated with me. It was the word sever. And it is so easy to feel severed from our sacred self, from our partner's sacred self, our family member's sacred self, the person walking down the street, whomever you may feel some tension with on a given day, the opposite political party of yourself. And yet it's that severing is what causes us pain, right? So any other like practical tools that you can think of that you've seen that work besides, well, for me, taking breath, but just another practical tool reminding us not to let this severedness happen, or if it does, to reconnect with even those people that you talk about, like petty tyrants or petty antagonists, and like the little things that get us.
Well, everything starts with intention in life. Everything starts with intention. So when that breath comes in, speaking about the breath, it comes in and it asks us the question, if we're present and open and listening, it asks us the question, what do you want to use me for? I'm giving you this breath to create a wisdom power of the universe. What experience do you want to create for yourself? If you want to experience suffering, put your attention into the thought form that you're separate from other people, that you're separate from the earth, that you're separate from life, that you're separate from the sun, that you're separate from the cosmos, that you're separate from God or the goddess or the Tao. Put your energy into the thought form based on separation, the illusionary perception of separation. And there's the severing. There's the root of the start of the cause of suffering, is the severing of our awareness from the truth of our being, the interconnected, interwoven mesh of oneness that we're in and is in us. That's the initial severing and the initial cause of the suffering. So if I want to, when the breath comes in and I want to experience suffering in my life, then continue to put it into that worldview based on perceptions of separation. Continue to put it into my identity as an ego. and all of its stories that it can cook up that create suffering. I'm not good enough. I'm a failure, shame, guilt, judgment about myself, judgment about other people's being. All of those close the heart and constrict the pipes. And instead of polishing up the starlight that we are, we're dumping a load of crapola on it, and the whole system goes, yuck, don't like that.
There's that. I've been teasing my dad lately about he's in the middle of these great stories. He goes in there.
Yeah, but I love the animal part of me, the ability to make noises and just spontaneous noises. Life is way too important to take seriously. I think part of our challenge in the midst of all of the shit and crapola that's going on is to find ways to cultivate joy, as differentiated from happiness, which is a momentary thing. But joy is an attitude, it's an approach to life, to try to find joy, which is really connecting with spirits, presence. Again, the truth in everyone, in everything, everywhere, all the time. And being present to notice how my mind can create thought forms of severance. So if I don't want that pain and suffering, notice those thought forms, pull a plug on those thought forms. That's what I mean by the unconditional, the unconsciously conditioned first attention dream, the worldview that we're separate. Indigenous people who pay attention to how it works and the wisdom traditions of the world say just the opposite. And in fact, modern quantum physics says the same thing. There's no such thing as a separate thing. There's no such thing as a thing. It's all interwoven, vibrating energy fields and different patterns enmeshed in a larger field of oneness. So don't put your energy into thought forms that create severance and suffering for yourself, unless that's what you want. All right. Got a right to choose whatever you want, but you're the one who's going to experience the consequences of those thought forms, either of severance, or the healing that comes from joining. Healing comes from joining with the truth of what is, joining into our oneness. Oh,
the truth of what is. So we're getting ready to go out on Vision Quest this coming week. As my dad said, he's been doing this for 49 years, aiming to make it to 50. And I did many when I was younger, and then I haven't gone out on quests since I've had my son, so over 21 years ago, which is crazy that he's that old, that I'm that old, that we're all that old. But I'm nervous, I'm excited, and super grateful for this opportunity. And we'll certainly be praying for all of you out there, you joining us here today, and you, we of our collective global citizenry. Couple things you mentioned about joy and happiness, and I've been reading a lot the last couple of years about folks that are like striving for happiness all the time, right? If you're like always going after like one high after the next, oftentimes they actually, like, their experience of life is more sad and depressed. But when there's a sense of purpose, that brings like a deeper sense of joy that is a very different feeling that can be ongoing than this sort of happy woohoo all the time, right? So the power of the sense of purpose. And when we go out on quest, traditionally, and as you were taught and you've taught us, and you're really going out to seek a vision, seek some purpose for your life, for this next chapter. So maybe you could guide us. It's 10:24 here, so I want to be cognizant of time, but maybe you could guide us all on a little visualization about finding our purpose for the coming week.
Okay.
And I'm going to close my eyes. I invite you all to feel free to turn off your videos. I'll leave mine on, but whatever you all feel comfortable doing. So.
All right. My daughter said, turn off, close your eyes. And when she says jump, I say, how high?
We wish.
I'm closing my eyes and dropping into what's called the looks within place, bringing our awareness down inside with our eyelids covering our eyes. There's not much energy coming into our eyes right now. So we're in the place of where we can see in the inner vision. There's no separation. There's no things. Bless you. So just take a moment to be with our experience of being breathed right now. This substance we call oxygen is flowing into us. We didn't create it. We don't know how to create it. This substance of oxygen, of life force energy, chi, mana, kapuri, arenda, flowing into us from the universe, a gift from the universe. And obviously, that power that creates the universe has the power to take us out. Prayers for the people in Turkey with the earthquakes and the people evacuating from flooding, and prayers for all the people around the world, who the angels of protection to be there to help the people through these hard times. Obviously, the power of the universe can take us out whenever it wants. And so the very fact that we're here, alive, feeling, sensing, listening, seeing on the inner plane, whatever it is you're seeing, is indicative that the creative power of the universe, God, the goddess, Tao, wants us here because it's giving us life. And so with the gift of your awareness, just noticing that simple act of being breathed, of taking in that gift of life and the beautiful design of the human body, the opportunity with every breath that leaves, do it consciously. The design of the wisdom in the body is saying there's some energy inside of you that's no longer needed for your life. And so we're breathing it out and noticing in our awareness as that breath, the natural cycle of in and out, leaves our body. We can drop into it as if you're standing by a flowing river. You can drop into it energy of the feelings of judgment, of fear, of shame, of worry, anxiety, of negativity. Any thought forms that close our hearts, we can just breathe out and release and let go. And noticing in your stillness, in your quietness, that when a breath is released, there's a still point, a still moment, a sacred moment before the next breath comes in. And then there it comes in again, being supported by the universe with a life force energy. So going forward into this week, may we all be empowered to polish up our starlight, to shine the truth of the light and love that we are, polishing it up to shine it stronger out into the world of the people and places where it needs to go, and flowing through our own bodies, healing, tenderness, kindness, generosity, courage, beauty, breathing in and activating, empowering all of those qualities, those gifts of grace in us with the breath in, the cleansing breath out, to help us remember, empowering the memory that we cultivate when we get up in the morning with gratitude for the gift of life. Each breath in is holy, a gift from the universe. And I choose to use it to help me wake up the truth of my being, to wise up and honor the truth of my sacred, worthy, luminous being, that I am love and my love is forgiving. To live, love now, in this moment, strengthening our ability, planting our seed in the garden of our mind to bear fruit as we go into this next week. And I have the power with the gift of grace that flows into me with the breath to create whatever it is I want to experience. And I choose to open my awareness to your presence, Holy Spirit, and to see your light and your love in all that crossed my path today and all that crossed my path this week. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a channel and waking up for your healing light and love out into the world for the healing of the sacred hoop. Walking the good red heart path to completion, fullest blossoming, greatest good, with joy, grace, and gratitude. May it be so. Ho, Omprios. All right.
Love it. That was beautiful. Thank you. I love your visualizations, and I'm so grateful to be doing this. One of our relatives here, Tom mentioned in the chat, feeling lonely. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this is because with this technology, we have the ability to just open up and connect and share your beautiful work with the greater community. And thank you. So thank you, Poppy. Thank you, Nicole, for doing tech. And thank you, each of you, for being here today. Feel free to email Tom with questions ahead of time. That's super helpful. We've gotten a lot about child rearing and parenting and rites of passage for kids and teenagers. So we'll definitely focus on that in an upcoming episode. And yeah, I love what you said about every breath is holy. And let's remember that this coming week. And I will be praying for you out from my quest. And anything closing that you want to share, Poppy?
Yeah, I want to thank you for dreaming this up and bringing us together in this way, and just support you in following your dreams. And thank you for the beautiful medicine you bring through. Thank you. And Nicole Ananda, your sister and your mama, and light and love and God's peace to all our relations. Oh, see you next Sunday. We come back and visit.
I didn't dream this up. I said you should do it, and you said, "Well, only if you do it with me." So
Well, that's you dreamed it up. You said you should do it. That's your dream. I was just goofing off in the backyard or something.
there
So
we
you
go.
came on. You should do it.
Yep. Yes. So, all right. Well, good to see everybody, and have a great week ahead. And we will see you next Sunday. Spread the word. Share this with your friends, family. We just want to reach as many people with this, and remember that we are all connected. So, thank you.
I can do this.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.